Godwin, he has a single mind. When he has a task, he will deliver on that task. When he's made up his mind on something, he stood by it. Little wonder, therefore, that not long after he left the Defense Academy, he was appointed the first military governor of Old Imo State.
Throughout history, there are accounts of men who were forged in fire. Men who have been called upon by circumstance beyond them to give of themselves for the common good. One of such men is Rear Admiral Godwin Ndubuisi Kanu. Ovim is a quiet semi-urban village in Isukwata local government area of Abia State. Ovim is a peaceful and sleepy community, a place transformed by the people through self-help into some sort of an urban village. It is here, the core Igbo heartland, that the Admiral call home. Rear Admiral Ndubuisi Kanu's life journey began in Enugu, where he was born on November 3rd, 1943. Kanu attended primary school at Methodist Central School, Ovim, and Metropolitan College, Onitsha. After his secondary school education, Ndubuisi Kanu worked for a while before applying for officers' training program of the Nigerian Navy. He scaled the interview stage easily along with young officers who would later make their marks in the nation's history. These included Patrick Kushoni, Okorie Ndukwe, MacDonald Okongu, and Tunde Elegbede. Others are Promise Fingesi and Alfred Dieties Spieth. On June 11, 1962, Cadet Ndubuisi Kanu landed at Kanu Airport on a BOAC aircraft with 3 other cadets, from where he boarded another aircraft for a 2 flight to India via Rome. While undergoing training in Asia, news of the unrest filtered to the young Kanu. The reaction of fellow trainee officers to killings of Ndigbo engendered a hasty return to what has become Biafra by Kanu. Leaving Asia, he arrived Blackburn via London. In Blackburn, he contacted the Biafran mission, and 2 days later he flew through Guinea-Bissau to Port Harcourt on Christmas Eve 1967, straight into the Nigerian Civil War.
Before the war started, he was on course to India with some of his classmates. As they were finishing the course in India, the civil war has commenced in Nigeria. They've started killing Igbos all over Nigeria. So he felt he's coming back to Lagos or to Nigeria, he will not be safe. He decided to leave from India to find his way back to Biafra. And he said immediately he returned 2 days after he joined in the fight for the war. When we traveled to Sweden in one of our trips as chief of operation, when I was working with him, the Indian defense advisor in Sweden was his classmate in the Indian Academy. They have National Defense Academy, the way we have Nigerian Defense Academy. So when the guy saw him, when the officer saw him, the military attaché, he was so excited. They greeted during lunch. The man asked me who I am. I told him I was his NA/ADC, that I work with him. He said, this is a great man, that your country is blessed with a very great man, that is very intelligent, that he was the first foreign cadet, foreign student to collect the Admiral's telescope. The Admiral's telescope is a prize given in the military academy for the best performance students. He said they did the first exam, he beat them, the Indian students. They gathered all of them into one room and spoke to them that if they repeat again and he does beat them, that they will deal with them. At the end of the day, he beat them with more than 10 marks. The next person following him, he dealt with that. He gave that person 10 marks extra. So that will show you the type of person and intelligence he is. So on the Civil War, he also mentioned to me that he particularly took part in on-air operation. And there are some books written by some people that fought on the side of Biafra. When you go through it, they will also talk about on-air operations. And the book written by Brigadier General Alabi Aisama, if you go through it, he also mentioned in that chapter about on-air operation that the Biafran Navy gave a very good account of themselves. He led that operation. The feat he performed there, he deserves to be given medal. Yes. So his militarily, his training and naval career was excellent. This is an officer that can run an organization with just pen, telephone, and a notepad.
I went to one or two meetings with the secretary to the federal military government, meetings of the Supreme Military Council. You know, they sit and at the back, and these people will be talking. We don't talk. We just watch what is going on. And then I saw this young man officer sitting among them with a very babyish face. I didn't know who it was, you know, but he impressed me because he was always taking notes when other people was always writing. And when it was his turn to speak, then you find that he has almost taken in what A said, B said, and then what he wants to say. I say, this young man is something else.
When we joined the war in Biafra, the two of us were deployed to keep watch on our boom defense position in Dos Island. That's our last-ditch defense for Port Harcourt from seaward. So he did 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. And we continued doing that until we had the first gunboat, which he, Godwin, commanded. So he was the first commander of a ship in Biafra, later followed by Lieutenant Obirapo then. He was a lieutenant, I was a sub-lieutenant. And later, his ship was PC-101. The later ship was PC-202, commanded by Lieutenant Obirapo. And the third ship was PC-203, which I commanded. So the three ships were the main fleet of the Biafran Navy. And we did a lot of campaigns and operations along the Port Harcourt Channel, in the creeks of the Niger Delta, and later on the River Niger. And in all these, I found Kanu a very fearless naval officer. Very fearless, very principled, very honest, very reliable and trustworthy. When you have been in near-death situations with a man, that is where and when you know what kind of person he is. In all our years together, I found Godwin Kanu a very trusted, reliable, principled naval officer. And you must know, if you're principled, it means you're not ready to follow the crowd. That needs a pinch of stubbornness, which Kanu had as well.
The war, it would seem, broke the East. However, the spirit of Ndubuisi, the spirit that powered the East to fight with bare knuckles for 3 years, was not broken. Indeed, it came out of the bloodletting, renewed and invigorated, spoiling for a new fight, surviving in the new Nigeria. For Ndubuisi Kanu, it was a whole new beginning, a beginning that required that he started life from the scratch.
But Godwin can be relied upon. I said earlier he was single-minded. Yes, indeed. If he believed in something, he worked for it. He didn't understand what it meant to be sectional. He saw you as a person, and he worked with you knowing that the only way he could get the best out of you was if he based his understanding of you on your character and your abilities. He joined the forces that demanded democracy in Nigeria. In that group of theirs, he excelled. He ended up being the national chairman of NADECO. Today, I painfully talk about my younger brother. Traditionally, they shouldn't be. But I had to bend backwards to do this in order to make the people understand that Godwin Ndubuisi Kanu is one Nigerian whose tribe meant something to him, but Nigeria meant a bit more to him than just being an Igbo man.
In 1975, with the war in the rear view, the ship of state begging for the best hands to steer it to a prosperous future, Ndubuisi Kanu, who has been reinstated in the Nigerian Navy as Lieutenant Commander, was appointed a member of the Murtala Mohammed's ruling cabinet, the Supreme Military Council.
When we finished the war, 4 of us were reabsorbed into the Nigerian Navy after the war. My now Commodore, retired Commodore Ebi Tokiwe, Godwin Kanu, myself, then 2 other special duty officers who fought the war were also reabsorbed. And our lives have been rather intertwined. The first job he did was as a boat officer when he came back to Nigerian Navy. When he relinquished that appointment, I took over from him as boat officer. Later, he was appointed transport officer for the Nigerian Navy. When he relinquished that appointment, I took over as transport officer. So it has been, from day to day, we keep alternating jobs and it continued like that. And in all these, I never had any cause to doubt the gentleman I worked with. Well, then came the political area. You know, Kanu was the first officer to be in the Supreme Military Council as a lieutenant commander. And he did a beautiful job.
In March 1976, the following year, the military regime of General Olusegun Obasanjo appointed him military governor of Imo State. He hit the ground running. He commissioned a plan for the development of the state capital, Owerri, and constructed new roads in the state, increased the number of local government areas in the state to 21, and also established the Imo Broadcasting Service, which is now the Imo Broadcasting Corporation.
Another thing that brought us even closer was when he was made the first, I think he was a military, is it governor then or administrator, I don't know what they were asking, of Imo State. That is the state I come from. And his stay in Imo State was short-lived, but the few months he stayed there were like, very electrical, if you understand what I mean, because he did so much, and when he left, it was like leaving a major vacuum, because he came to a place where there was nothing, absolutely nothing. The first budget he had was more or less written by a few people. I used to be an observer, even though I wasn't working for them. I've never worked for any government in Nigeria. So I was just going there under the mango tree because they had no offices. He had nothing, absolutely nothing. And but when you heard about Owerri, Imo State, you think that it has been in existence as a state capital, but people were so happy during that period. Because they've got a new state, and secondly, things were moving, and he was jovial and at the same time disciplined and brought in a disciplined environment in the place. So he wasn't one of these people who more or less tried to tell you each time you met by one way or the other that they are the governor or whatever status. He wasn't peddling himself or his office.
He was now appointed the first military governor of Imo State. Starting a new state as a governor is a daunting job. Practically penniless, no infrastructures, nothing on ground. It needed someone of Kanu's organizational capacity to set up, and he did that beautifully.
Military governor of Imo State, which included not only the present Imo, but the present Abia, and part of Ebonyi State. And what he was known for was the fact that he was hardworking, and he was open. Don't forget that he was a very young man. He had to deal with elders, he had to deal with traditional rulers and so on. And in all those circumstances, he acquitted himself well, which is why Imo people don't joke with him, because he left a mark, you know.
Perhaps because of his success in Imo State, Kanu transferred to Lagos State as military governor in 1977, holding that position until July 1978. After his stint as governor, he was later promoted to the rank of Rear Admiral and Naval Chief and served with the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon. It would seem like most men forged in fire. Even in retirement, Rear Admiral Ndubuisi Kanu literally picked the arms to once again fight for his fatherland. In the months and years following the annulment of June 12th election in 1993, with the country on the precipice of a major crisis, Rear Admiral Ndubuisi Kanu joined the pro-democracy movement and played a leading role in the agitation for the actualization of the annulled June 12, 1993 elections as a top national democratic coalition Nadeko chieftain and later the chairman of the coalition in 2013.
Even the way he got into Nadeko, the Nadeko came out of a committee that we call the Council of Unity and Understanding, which included not only Westerners like Adebayo, like Ajashin, like Adebanjo, but also some of us from the East, like Ukiwe, like myself, like the late Sonny Odogu, and you know, and there were people from the Middle Belt, like Tiwa Danjuma. In that period, it was to how do we make sure that Nigeria, post-military, can be shaped up into the kind of nation it ought to be. Then he wasn't in the CUU. But when things got to a certain point, the CUU decided, because the CUU were mostly elders, decided that we needed an activist group, because people who could demonstrate if it was necessary, and people who can also in the press say their mind and so on, while the elders will continue playing the role of the, you know. That's how the Nadeto came. So in a sense, I was the, well, they call it Strategic Planning Committee Chairman in the CUU, and that role I took over into the into Nadeko when it was formed. However, we needed to broaden the membership with active people, with knowledgeable people, with hardworking people. And that is where Godwin came in.
Our people said you start from home to be a nice fellow. He was a true son of the Igbo race. And he participated in the socio-economic development thought process of the development of Igbo land. If he had the resources on his own, with a flinch of an eyelid, he would have made Igbo, the whole Southeast, a heaven on earth. But you know, we are not so endowed on earth. Only very few people can do such a thing. But even to take on a state, a region like that would be very difficult. But I think he must have built up the Southeast region. He never lacked ideas as what is needed or what is meaningful to make that region what it ought to be.
Already missing Admiral Kanu. And he has a large followership of friends. We shall all miss him. And all I say is that I wish him a very restful place in the bosom of the Lord, and that his passing, that God, the Holy Spirit, will comfort his family.
I was in Ahafia, but my car had broken down somewhere near Ore, and I just managed to get to Ahafia with a chartered vehicle. They were still trying to fix mine. So I called him because I knew the day was coming. I called him and I said, my brother, I don't have any vehicle, so I don't know whether I can make it to. He said, what do you mean you can't make it to? If you don't come, who will come? You must come. He was like that. But if it's an order, I order, you must come. I'll send a car to come and pick you. I said, okay, you have solved the problem, because it's a problem of transportation. I think we held that discussion around the 12th or 14th of December. There was another friend whose burial in Abreba was, I think, on the 16th. And I wanted to get in touch with him to say, look, we are going to this one. If you are sending a car to come and bring me, it will bring me and we will meet in Abreba. And from there, I'll come to worry that you must provide for my wine. You know the kind of wine I drink. No answer. I called again, to report to him, to find out. Eventually I heard that he had left for Lagos. I said, what? That was the last discussion I had with him. The discussion about sending a car to come and pick me.
Godwin, I will miss you. My family will miss you. Ndi Oven will miss you. Ndi Igbo will miss you. Ndi Nigeria will miss you. You are truly a Nigerian and a son of Oven. Ewo nwa okani anyị. Chineke chebe ma nye ndị niile obi ha ga-eji buru ibu a hapụrụ ha. Chineke ya gboo ha gụgụọ ha n'aha Onyenwe anyị Jizọs. Laa n'udo nwere nwoke. Laa n'udo.